Welcome to the Tales from the Smoking Wyrm, issue number 6 overview video. In this video, I'm just going to briefly show you what is in this issue, starting with a wonderful two-tone cover in steel and neon pink by Jay Tanaka. The back cover, of course, always has the menu, also highlighted in pink. By the way, this is like a black light, and so it will fluoresce in the dark. And so you have the breakdown. We have an article on dwarves. We have some Culpepper's Herbal. We have a new class called the Soul Eater, patron missions for Cthulhu, Necromilo's Bauble, which is an artifact, Tentacular Nest Generation, a little rules called Coordinated Effects, Onward Retainer, our ever-ongoing comic book by Joel Phillips, and then Wormwoods at the end. So if you check it out, you can see, hopefully, let me just open it completely, that there are cool hot pink staples to go with the limited edition, which is what this is. The standard edition has standard steel staples. So we open up with our host and our title page, which gives you all the credits and everything. And of course, we have an anathema at the front. And then we move directly into Dwarves with a wonderful piece of art by Michael Harmon. And this just gives some kind of alternate rules that you might like for playing Dwarves. It basically gives them a little bit of background, talks about Dwarves in kind of role-playing history, and then gives them their own perspective, and ends with the Rule of Fire, which is an alternate way to use luck for dwarves only. Directly after the dwarf article, we have Culpepper's Herbal, and in this herbal, we're covering Alexander's, and we're also covering Barbary. Okay, and it covers, this is a standard Culpepper. It has where you find it, flowering time, the astrological symbols related to this particular herb, and then bodily virtues, the things you can do with the different parts of the herb and everything. We also cover wild basil, so there's 3. This is kind of a unique Culpepper. And then finally, we move into the Soul Eater class with a wonderful opening illustration by John Cobb. And the Soul Eater is essentially kind of an anti-magician, someone who's able to absorb the power of magic, to dampen its effects around them, and then to utilize what they've absorbed either to recast it or to do special things with it, which are talked about here under the conversion section. They can heal themselves, they can heal others, they can burn the spell exactly as if it was burning their own luck. So the number of the spell level equals the number of luck points you get. They can cast a consumed spell, or they can reset their blunting ability, which is their ability to dampen magic around them. Moving on from the Soul Eater, we have patron missions for Cthulhu, and like all the patron mission series, there are 7 cool missions here that anybody who patrons Cthulhu or an adherent of Cthulhu might be sent on. And again, beautiful art by Jay Tanaka in this kind of neon pink really pops nicely all the way throughout. This just continues. You can see again just some really great things. Jay does a really good job, by the way, if you look, of picking up on something that's adjacent to what he's talking about and everything, or what we're talking about in the text. When he sends us sketches, he often highlights specific portions of the text so we know exactly what he's trying to capture, which is really kind of cool. Then we have Necromilo's Bauble. Now, Necromilo's Bauble is associated with the wizard that you see on the very cover, the very first issue of Tales from the Smoking Wyrm, and this ties into the lore of the cover of the Smoking Wyrm, and the fact that this is a scene that is an homage to a Trampier piece that appears in the DMG, and then was homaged in the DCC core rules, and then was homaged again in our books. And so if you think about it, every single scene on the cover is actually a different viewpoint of the very same street in the original Trampier piece. Trampier would have been looking from this archway down the street. Here we're looking back towards where Trampier's viewpoint was. But that's just an aside. Necromilo's bauble is this really cool D30 artifact that picks up on the Fist of Emiracol, which was something that was a RPGA artifact at one point, which was a big chunky D20. Here we've expanded it, and we give unique symbols for each of them, and then also give a name of what it is, and then a special ability, so you can roll your die and literally and give a different effect each time. So it's kind of chaotic in that way. You can roll it with a normal D30, or we also offer an STL file. You can actually print your own bauble, and in the future we might be offering it in other forms too, so that would be really cool. Anyway, Necromilo's bauble. Next we have the Tentacular Nest Generator, and this is the major article for this book. This actually ties in with an article from issue 3, which generated the Tentacular themselves. Here, you're able to generate an entire nest. Essentially, is kind of like this funhouse, murder hobo underground tunnel system connecting rooms together, where the young Tentacular are learn how to hunt down and kill mortals. They in particular need the souls of wizards in order to mature, and so they becomes a really interesting kind of dungeon that you can generate on the fly and quickly get things rolling. This gives you detailed reasons for why nests exist, how to develop them. Allows you to generate basic nest characteristics and everything, including the age of the nest, how long it's been there, how many rooms it has, tunnel die, so that would be the number of tunnels, offspring that are in the nest, whether it is a tentaclouder or a tentacoalition, meaning does this tentacular have another male that exists inside the nest, and is it or is it not related to them directly, as in basically a brother. Excuse me. And so this radically alters how the nest is generated. And so we have basically breakdowns on what if it is a tentacoalition, what if it's a tentaclouder, giving you really, really different looking nests with just a nice, simple mechanic. We go in and diagram how you, or overview how you diagram rooms, and then how you build tunnels and how they connect and everything. And then we get into room generation in part 2, allowing you to randomly determine the number of the rooms that you determined previously. So you determined a number in step 1. Here you're going to actually detail out each of those rooms, and you're going to name them and everything. It's also going to go through room navigation and give you a little bit of information about the rooms and stuff like this. All of this is just really cool information. And then we finally get to some of the interesting room features, things that you might find in a room that would be really interesting. And we connect it in with the Dungeon Alphabet by Goodman Games. This is an excellent tool, and in order to keep this article short, we actually utilize the Dungeon Alphabet with Joseph Goodman's permission and send you to it. So you're going to need that if you're really going to detail these interesting room features, which is where it takes place. Finally, you've generated individual rooms, and now you're going to connect them with different types of tunnels. And so each of these dashed, dotted, or solid lines gives you an information about the tunnel itself. And if it's got an arrow at the end, that means it's an exit. And so we're now going to generate all the events that occur on these tunnels and everything, and this takes you through this. And so it should become this hazardous movement through spaces that are arcane and bizarre. Now, let me show you what that looks like. You're going to basically count up your rooms and everything and stuff, but there is a really nice feature in issue 6. We have this slide out figure 3, which is a fully generated nest. And so you can see here that we've taken the image from figure 2 and we have created, or we've laid out where all 16 of the different encounters that you could have in the tunnels occur. And then we've obviously connected them to the rooms that we've got. And so each of these is outlined. Here you have the basically the father tentacular, Glaxian, the world, a wizard hater. And here it talks about the number of eyes, because tentacular have these powerful magical eyes. And then it provides you with details on each of the adventure or encounter points, right? Detailing out exactly what decisions had been made based on the article itself. And then reprinting the specific mazes and rooms and everything that you're going to encounter and stuff. And so the great thing is this right here in our play tests is probably several days worth of play. And it took about an hour to generate. And so that's a great example of how you can build a tentacular nest. Okay. And it fits right here inside the sleeve, because it was really too big and cumbersome to fit in a decent way in the book itself, without getting it too long. Here then we get into randomly placed and how to place tentaculars across the space, and then tunnel event details, the types of events you're going to encounter in tunnels, such as mazes. And here we've got 4 different mazes that you can randomly determine. And then you can see that we have different symbols in here, and then you can roll on this table and it will place things at those symbols for you. All right, and so that you randomly determine what's going on. So even if a maze is used twice, it's different each time. And then we have mechanical melee traps, mechanical missile traps, just some simple traps that you can choose. Of course, you could always augment this with something like Grimtooth's traps. Dungeon Crawl Classics has got a DCC version of that coming out soon in the OAR series. And then we also have, you could have ambushes. And so there's a couple different types of ambushes. Here we have 4 of them detailed. And they set everything up with notes on what that ambush should look like. And then we have kill zones. Now, kill zones are when you have tentaculars that are specifically paired up to attempt to really, not just ambush, but kill your party. And so these rooms right here are 4 different types of kill zones that you might have. This is followed up by vertical shaft details, because tunnels aren't always horizontal. And it's going to tell you how long the tunnel is, what its pitch is, and different tunnel features. And then finally, if there are magical traps, we have magical traps and everything detailed here. There's only 3 major ones, but it gives you a good amount of variety. We also have nuptial displays, because it turns out that male tentaculars use their nests not only to train their young, but also attract females and everything so that they can pair with them. And so you may run across different nuptial displays, which are usually the remnants of previous parties. And then finally, magical gate details, because sometimes tentacular like to jump around, even though they have tunnels and everything. And so you may find a gate that takes you from one location to another, further complicating things. And so that is the overview of the basic tentacular nest generator. Like I said, it's almost 25 pages long, but you'll find yourself moving through it quite rapidly. As you generate your nests. We've had a lot of fun writing this and everything, and there will be an online version of this coming soon. Some of the patrons to the Kickstarter for issue 6 will have access to it very soon, and then we'll put it through a playtest phase, and then we'll allow people to purchase access to it. If you want to be able to click a button and randomly generate an entire nest, it'll be possible to do that. Here is coordinated efforts. This is just a simple 2-page article with this wonderful graphic by Daniel Vance. And it talks about how you might coordinate your efforts as a team in order to up your die on the die chain and get a better possible result. Teams are able to achieve things that individuals sometimes cannot. And so we have found this in our own home games to be an invaluable rule addition to the standard DCC system. And it works quickly. It allows for a lot of variety, because if the people who are helping you fail or botch that attempt with a natural 1, they can really make it worse. But they can also really help out. And so it's a great little rule. And we use it every session that we play. And then finally, we continue Onward Retainer, and this time Onward Retainer is a 2-page article or a comic book leading up to something really big, I believe, in issue 7 and issue 8. So if you've been reading this, go back and read them all together, because there's definitely a cool kind of through-line plot that Joel Phillips has been developing. We end this with worm words. In every issue, we have worm words, and here we had 32 words for issue 6. We have the answers from issue 5, and then we close out with our last anathema, which, is telling you, do not steal this book, it's going to be bad. I always hope that people translate these from the original Latin, but if you don't, well, maybe you could practice reading it. Here it is a nice little word puzzle and everything. And what this is worm words is if you have kind of those Gygaxian style words that are hard to pronounce or maybe hard to understand, and you don't have a dictionary in hand, we have the definition for what it is in the back, and we're just giving you kind of a fun way to pair those two up. This is an advanced proof copy. All the limited editions are actually noted in the inside flap this time, because we are using the matte laminate on the outside to prevent bleed through from the ink. And so that's just a quick overview of Tales from the Smoking Wyrm, issue number 6. Available soon at Goodman Games, and will be coming out soon in the standard edition once we sell through the limited edition, of which there are only a couple remaining, so that's not going to be very long. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.